Good morning. Happy Sunday. How are you? Steve from I'm Enough Coaching. So this morning I posted in the You Are Enough group a post about what if we actually put into action more of the thoughts than we actually do. And then that got me thinking, and the thing that I've said I'm going to be doing is to do more Facebook Lives. So I thought, well, why not put that down as the thing that I'm going to do? And then, of course, because I said I was going to take action, I had to take action. So here I am taking that action. Now, the topic, I had to think of a topic as well. And as I was thinking about doing my Facebook Live, I thought to myself, well, I better go and get a shower. I better go and have a shave and trim myself up and do my hair. And then I thought, but why do I need to do that? Why do I feel the need to have to go and look good, to become presentable, to put myself on camera? And this is something that a lot of people struggle with, is that reason. You know, I need to look good. I need to fit in. I need to be able to be accepted by people. And I thought, well, what would be more powerful than coming on looking like I've just got out of bed, because I did about 4 hours ago, but I haven't had a shower yet. It's Sunday. And I'm just having a lazy morning getting myself ready for the week ahead. And I thought, well, why don't I just come on and prove that nobody really gives a shit what you look like. It's all about what you've got to share. It's about the value that you bring to other people and things like that. But there's a reason. There's an unconscious reason as to why we want to look good, why we need to be able to be accepted, to be able to fit in. And this unconscious need comes from the ego. Now, if you've done some work with me before, you've listened to my podcasts and you've listened to some of my other teachings, then we'll understand that the ego isn't all about being egotistical and making it, hey, look at me, you know, I'm the best thing since sliced bread. The ego comes as part of our safety mechanism. So the ego is almost like our little suit of armor that comes from our brainstem. It comes from the caveman brain. And it's there to be able to help us to stay safe, to be able to stay alive. Now, as human beings, we've got two reasons to be on this planet. The first one is to stay alive, because the second one is to be able to reproduce. Now, if we can't stay alive, we can't reproduce. So the whole purpose of the ego is for us to be able to stay alive, and that's its job. Now, the ego has 6 needs, and one of them is to look good. And the reason why we need to be able to look good is so that we're accepted. And like I say, this comes from our unconscious memories, our hereditary, as it were, our evolution as a species, as a human being. Because back in the day when we were cavemen, there was a lot of danger if we weren't part of a tribe. And we see this all the time in the natural world. We see this with examples on TV with shows like David Attenborough. So I'm sure you've seen it. There's a herd of elephants. They're out in the savannas of Africa. And there's a pride of lions, and they're all sneaking along behind them, just waiting for that one animal, that one elephant, whether it be the baby of the herd or whether it be the oldest elephant in the herd, to become detached from the herd. Because once that elephant becomes detached from the herd, it becomes prey. And we see the lions then attacking it, and then they end up killing it and devouring it. And this is where the unconscious behaviour of ourselves comes from our time when we were cave people, back in the day. So when we think about this, we like to be part of a tribe. We like to be part of a group. We like to be accepted by people. Why? Because we want to feel safe. There is safety in numbers. And this is the primary reason why we feel the need to look good. You imagine if I went into Coles this morning, if I went grocery shopping this morning looking like this. So here I am, I've still got my night t-shirt on, I've got my jammies on, my hair's all over the place, I've unshaven, I haven't brushed my teeth, and I've got my slippers on. Now imagine if I went into Coles like that on a weekday, doing my shopping at 11 o'clock in the morning. What would people think? People would judge me. People would look at me and go, oh, he's a bit weird. He's a bit strange. You know, let's go the next degree. Let's go if I say I went in with my budgie smugglers on. Yeah, just my budgie smugglers and my thongs. Again, especially in winter, People would think I'm a bit mad. And then what we start to see is people would move away. People would detach themselves. People wouldn't want to be around me because they think, oh, he's a bit odd. Now, in our subconscious, we recognize that. We realize that that's danger. So what do? We try to comply. We try to wear the clothes that is acceptable. We want to look good. We do our hair. You know, some people wear makeup. Some people like to follow the trends of fashion and be able to be up there and looking cool. Now, to put all of this into context, my daughter, when she first came over, Kaylee, she came over when she was 16 years old to Australia. She'd never been in Australia before. And we were going to go shopping in Albury, which is the next town down from Wagga. Now, unlike the UK, the next town down from Wagga is an hour and a half away. In England, it's like maybe 10, 15 minutes. So when I shared this with Kaylee and I said, look, if you want to go to Albury and have a day in Albury on a Saturday, then we need to get up relatively early. We need to be out of the house by 9, sort of 10 o'clock in the morning, because Albury actually shuts at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, unlike the UK, which stays open till 6, 7 o'clock at night. And so if you want to have dinner, i.e. lunch, I call lunch dinner, it's still something that I do from my pommy days, and you want to spend the day in Albury, then we need to be leaving early. She's like, okay, well, you just tell me what time I need to be ready. So I said to her, we need to be ready to go by 9:30 at the latest. She was like, fine, no problem. About 8:30, 9 o'clock, she comes out from her room in a huff, like teenagers do. And she went, I'm going to be late. And I'm like, oh, okay. Is everything all right? And she's like, no, I sneezed. And I was like, right, okay. I'm trying to put 2 and 2 together. And she says, I sneezed and my mascara went up my forehead. Which I thought was quite funny. But it wasn't, it was not a time to laugh. And then I was like, okay, well, why don't you just rub it off? And at this point, Shirley's elbowing me and going, shh, shh. And Shirley stepped in and said, it's okay, Kaylee, just come out when you're ready. So afterwards I was like, what's that all about? Why didn't she just clean that bit off? And she went, she's 16 years old. She's got to contour and layer the foundation, then put all the makeup. And I'm like, as a dad, I'm like, no idea what you're talking about. No idea at all. So anyway, probably about 15 minutes late, Kaylee comes out and she goes, right, I'm ready now. And I'm like, okay, cool. Everything good? And she's like, yep. And I said, Kaylee, nobody knows you in Australia. Nobody knows you in Albury. So don't feel under any pressure to have to sort of put on your face every day. And she went, I've got to look good. I've got to fit in. I don't want people judging me. And as soon as she said that, I was like, wow, there's the ego. There's that unconscious behaviour coming out straight away around the need to look good, the need to fit in. She didn't want to be judged by other people. And here she was on the other side of the world when she didn't know anybody apart from myself and Shirley. So this is an example of how this unconscious behaviour coming up from our ego, and remember the ego is there to keep us safe, can start to impact us in the modern day world. Now the ego and our mind hasn't really evolved much from those cave person days when we were either being chased by saber-toothed tigers or we were trying to stay alive. The modern day world now is the need to look good. They don't know any different, or our mind doesn't know any different from it being a saber-toothed tiger chasing us. So this is how it starts to impact us. This is how it starts to come out. So if we can understand that it's the need of the ego, and the ego is there to keep us alive, then this is what I say. I capture my little ego. Now, I'm a very visionary type of person. I like to envisage all the different elements of my life as little people. And my vision of my ego is a little version of my 5-year-old self. And Mum's made me a suit of armour out of tin foil, so she's just wrapped it around my body. And Dad's made me a sword, and he's nailed 2 bits of wood together. And I've been in my mum pot drawer, and I've got a saucepan that I've stuck on my head, and I'm like, right, come on, let's go and fight the baddies, yay! That's what I picture my ego like, because the ego can be a little bit immature in its behaviour. It pops up at the most random times and gets itself carried away. So what I do is I acknowledge my ego and I go, hey mate, it's okay. It's okay. Thanks for having my back. I always thank it, always show it an attitude of gratitude, because it's doing a job. It's doing what it's supposed to do. And then I say to it, nobody's going to die. It's okay. Nobody's going to die here. Just because I look the way that I do, I'm not going to die. It's okay. There's no saber-toothed tiger coming to kill me. All right, you can go back to doing what you're doing. Thanks very much for having my back. And this is how I can start to put the ego back to bed. I'm not saying that I want to obliterate the ego, because the ego's got a really important role to play. It's just that it's got itself a little bit out of context. So what I'm trying to share with you today is we have this desire, we have this need to look good, we have this need to be able to fit in. And that is coming from our unconscious memories of being cave people, where it's dangerous not to fit in. Now, we're not going to die if we don't fit in. So we can calm the ego down, which allows us to be more of ourselves, more true to ourselves, not to be worried about what people think about us, how they see us, but more about the value that we can add to other people, more about the value that we can add to ourselves. And that helps us to be able to calm the ego down, to reduce the amount of fear that we may have around this, and to be more organic and to be more authentic about our true selves. And that's the whole purpose of the I Am Enough, You Are Enough group, the inner work trainings that I provide, the True You program. It's all about being able to be authentically ourselves so that we can be who we want to be, and to do it with confidence. And when I say confidence, I mean confidence with grace and humility, not arrogance, not just a case of, well, do you know what, fuck it, I'll wear what I want. You know, I don't give a shit about anybody else. I don't need other people in my life. That's just arrogance. We don't need any of that. What we want to be able to do is we want to be able to fit in, but we still want to be true to ourselves. We don't want to become a people pleaser all of the time. I'm not saying that people pleasing is a bad thing, but when it starts to impact us, when it starts to, stop us from being able to be authentic and do the things that we want to do, that's when people pleasing can take over. All right, that's a completely different topic, and I might cover that another day in another Facebook Live. So anyway, here's me completing this Facebook Live, fulfilling my promise to myself that I was going to do more Facebook Lives, fulfilling my promise to myself that today I was going to take action on one more thing than I would normally do. Normally I would have thought about this and gone, yeah, I'll do it during the week. But this morning I was like, no, stuff it. I'm doing it right now. And here is me sharing with you what my thoughts, my understanding of the need to look good is all about in my Sunday morning face. All right. I hope this has been of value to you. I'd love it if you could share your comments and your thoughts down below. And I look forward to catching up with you again very soon. Until then, until the next time we meet, take care. Tooroo.